Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV shows and their new Star Wars movies currently in the works by Disney and Lucasfilm that's really going to raise the bar for the entire Star Wars fandom. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one exciting aspect about the future of the franchise is that yes, we do have George, John, and Dave all working together as a team to really deliver as much authentic content as possible. After all, they are going to be reviving a handful of Star Wars Legends material from the 1990s and the 2000s, coming back into play here under Disney. Given that Kathleen Kennedy is only working on Star Wars The Acolyte, and that is it strictly, thankfully, she's only working with Leslie Headland on that show, and nothing else besides that. So everything aside from The Acolyte is going to have a great tone with the vision in line by George Lucas. Now, speaking about George Lucas, we do know that he's hard at work with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni on establishing this new Star Wars universe moving ahead, which, by the way, in case you guys have been out of the loop, they already have over a dozen Star Wars projects in the works on Disney Plus alone, completely separate from the movies, and also separate from the books and the video games as well. Now, with that being said, of course, what's really exciting all has to do with what George Lucas has planned for a particular new timeline coming to the equation here for Star Wars overall that's really going to excite a handful of hardcore fans around the world. Now, what's really exciting all has to do with what Disney and Lucasfilm have in store for the Star Wars fans for the next couple of years to come. Given that The Mandalorian Season 3 is now in development, it's best described that Disney and Lucasfilm are primarily focused on their new projects for the universe moving ahead. It's described that recently creator George Lucas recently greenlit a new project that would focus on the Old Republic era of Star Wars, as well as Knights of the Old Republic in the form of live-action TV shows to arrive on Disney Plus by sometime in 2025, and that this show is set to focus on the Sith and the Jedi secrets that fans never knew about that will be the core of the actual show's focus. Further, it's noted that Lucasfilm's plan is to release a Knights of the Old Republic video game by 2023 in order to create a foundation for this beloved era or timeline for the Star Wars fandom. Lucas is described to have power over hiring specific directors and/or writers for the new Old Republic TV series that is indeed in the early development phase, and that this will be considered to be Disney's first Phase 2 Star Wars project on Disney Plus. Now, Lucas is said to be using tons of Star Wars Legends content that will carry over to the new Old Republic timeline that will be handled by Disney moving ahead. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting is that we have Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau also involved with George on handling how the Old Republic / Knights of the Old Republic era will be handled. Now, given that they are also going to be introducing a Knights of the Old Republic video game by 2023, to kind of give fans a little bit of a foundation there of where everything begins and how they can actually establish it within the Disney Star Wars canon, that's a very good strategy to get things a little bit more familiar with the fans before they actually drop a TV show. It's kind of like, think of it this way, of how Fallen Order was such a beloved video game. A lot of fans love it and enjoy it. It's kind of like, imagine, bringing Cal into live action form. A lot of fans know exactly who Cal is now because of that video game. So with that being said, of course, on top of all of this, what's really exciting, alright, has to do with the fact that we have George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni really reshaping the Star Wars universe as we know it. Now, Knights of the Old Republic / the Old Republic era is a very beloved part of Star Wars. Initially, we talked about this before a couple of days ago, that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to create her own spin on the Old Republic era that was going to go against what the fans wanted to see. Thankfully, Jon Favreau put an end to all of that and finalized the cancellation of Kathleen Kennedy's version of the Old Republic era, so that's a good move. That's also the reason as to why we can very well expect to see, a great tone within this new Star Wars era, is because it's going to stay in line with the vision by George Lucas. Make no mistake, even though the Old Republic is not all that recognizable to a lot of casual fans out there, it eventually will be the more they establish it into the canon. Again, they really want to make it more familiar to the fans through books, video games, novels, etc., in order to really kind of get it more popular and to eventually bring it to such a level to where they can make a successful TV show. It's going to work even without that scenario, in my belief. I think that they don't necessarily need to get it all that much familiar because it is, very well done enough to the point where it doesn't really need to have a lot of familiarity at first. I think fans will fall in love with it to begin with. That's exactly what happened back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So, like I've said before, I think that obviously fans are very much excited to see with what George Lucas has in store and how it's going to look like now without Kathleen Kennedy in the mix. So like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.